Okay, ladies and gentlemen, me and Judge Hugh in Australia are back to talk about decentralized, automated, authoritative organizations, what they commonly call DAOs, which has actually been rolled out all over the world, and you might commonly know it as OMICRON. These are just code words that they use to let the world know that there is a new system has kicked in. For the world of legal fictions and people that still exist in a fictional world of viruses, Omicron will be just a variant of a virus with no evidence, no proof. But it's code to let you know that there is a new system out there that is already in existence and the whole world is converting to it. So, Hugh, since I will be speaking about this subject, could you quiz me on it in such a way that it's able to be explained to the novice all the way to the people that are actually even using it, because we're using it and we're going to be teaching this stuff first week of next year, how the non-fungible tokens are going to be working and etc. But I need to explain to the general public what this new system of DAOs are, which Lance is the one that educated us on. So I'll hand it over to you to quiz me if you can, and that would be really appreciated, to the novice all the way to the people that are using it.
Well, yeah, this is a very interesting term. Decentralized autonomous organization. There's three words there. So, Mark, for the audience knowledge, can you break up those words and what it implies, what it means in terms of this whole space that we call
Yeah,
cryptocurrency, please?
indeed. Of course, it's all on the back of Bitcoin. And
Mm-hmm.
what does Bitcoin run on? It runs on a Lightning Rail network called blockchain. And that blockchain uses billions of people's computers, cell phones, as a way of storing the information as to who owns what. Yeah. In the olden days, we used to know it as a torrent. But of course, the Google world, the YouTube world, and all of these providers, centralized providers, robbed the general public of the World Wide Web of ever being a World Wide Web. In other words, that every single man and woman that's using it actually owns part of the World Wide Web under the torrent system of bringing all the computers, cell phones, etc., all together as a web. So they, through commercialization and convincing the general public that being a torrent is not a good thing to do, human beings naturally gravitated to a central hub, and hence it's been like that since. That is why we don't actually own not even our own domain name. It's only leased to us as long as we pay the property taxes on it, what they call a subscription. Okay. So the torrent mechanism was decentralized. So the first word on this system is decentralized. DE meaning no, and central being, of course, central like as a starfish and a spider organization. So the spider organization is what they call a centralized system, because it has a central nervous system. And if you take the head out of a spider, the spider dies. But in a starfish organization, in a torrent world, in a world of decentralization, if you take out 1 million computers, the system will still run. It's like cutting the arm off a starfish. The starfish will grow back again because it's not a central nervous system. It's a collection of millions and billions of organisms that have come together to form digestive systems, arms, muscles, tendons, as well as thinking processes throughout the starfish itself. So, starfish is not like you and me. It's actually a collection of billions of organisms that have come together. Similar to the Portuguese man of war, which is supposed to be a jellyfish. It's not a jellyfish. It's a part of a symbiotic relationship. So what that simply means is that any systems that are out there as a centralized mechanism, by its very nature, will become extinct. So you are witnessing right now, under the OMICRON, we are witnessing the decentralization of governments, secret services, corporations, anything that is in the public domain. If it's in our hands, it's also in the public domain, like dollars, euros, all of these things are in the public domain, but issued in the private. These are all currencies issued in the private, which means they're centralized. That system has now become extinct. What does that mean? If they can't tell you where that one particular dollar, on the back of how it was issued and where it originates from, it cannot be on the Lightning Network of a cryptocurrency world,
Yes.
operating as part of a decentralized organization. So let's just quickly recap what the significance of a decentralization system means. When you decentralize something, it means that you are making the central mechanisms, like governments and corporations, you are making them extinct. In other words, they are dead. And when all the information that is available now becomes transparent, and instead of it being stored in a central hub, it's actually stored in millions and billions of computers out there, as well as devices that are offline. So if the entire system goes up, all you have to do is have a USB stick and the whole system reboots itself. The entire universe of that metaverse, that corporate world, of the cryptocurrency, the sources, where it comes from, who owns what, is recreated at the click of a button with point 0.00000 to the infinity percentage of accuracy. That means what is on this side is going to be identical to what is on that side. Okay, so that's the power of the decentralization. What does that mean consequentially? In consequence, what does that mean to me and you? What disadvantages you and I and the rest of the world is the level of lies and level of computing fraud that takes place in a central mechanism and in the private central mechanism, i.e., pieces of information that is out there that is supposed to be in the hands of the general public go missing under the Official Secrecy Act, or to just simply withhold it from the general public by just simply saying, oh, we've lost the documents on it, which happens all the time. Like, for example, WikiLeaks, which is a fraudulent system. WikiLeaks is the system that all governments use, including the US government, to dump their decommissioned work and under the Official Secrecy Act into that mechanism. But they create fraudulent legal fiction names like Julian Assange to say, look how much effort this man has to go to get that information. The information is decommissioned work. He's there to frighten people to think that if you ever become a whistleblower, you'll be so frightened that you won't do it, because we'll hunt you day and night. So this type of fraud that goes on in a centralized organization will become extinct. Let's now take it to the corporate world. The corporations do not tell you, even if you're a shareholder, what the mechanisms that they're using to generate their money. Because as you know, 80 to 90% of the monies that they have are uncounted for. What we call phantom corporations. So let's just pick one analogy. This is the company we're talking about, called an iPencil. Its shares are valued at, say, $100 per share. And there is only 1,000 shares available. Okay? How does a company that has acquired no other business, no other assets, no other contract, all of a sudden acquire like $110 per share? They've done no extra business, they've taken on no extra liabilities, and yet their share has gone up. That's what they call perceived value of a share, because somebody has decided that this company is now worth $110 per share as to opposed to its true market value of $100. So that kind of price manipulation will show up instantly in a blockchain mechanism under the NFTs and smart contracts, which are in the public domain. When I say public, I'm not referring to actors on stage, which is another word for public. I'm talking about an open source, like a library. A library is not like an actor's library because it's called a public library. It's a library where everybody under the open source can come and see what and how things are happening. And we used to call it a reference library. Yeah, free source. So that free source information is going to be available at the click of a button, and is available at the click of a button to everybody on the planet. And that means the corporations cannot create phantoms, and the governments cannot create phantoms like Julian Assange. That means the corporations cannot create wars, because all governments are what? They're part of a corporate governance. Okay? And because it's on an open source network, the governments themselves have to publicly, openly show where the sources are. So if there's a conflict, an instrument of issues as in, well, they got a problem with something, it'll be flagged up on the system so everybody can see, oh, the system says it's just a matter of negotiation rather than warfare. That's the profound statement. All companies, centralized companies, use information to disable people, what they call misinformation, because they see you and I as competitors. That's the vast turnover, 180-degree turn that has already been rolled out, what we call decentralization. And the general public will have to learn, and we're holding a course, as you know, well, you are, and here Lance is, because I don't know how to operate the IT systems for that, and it will take me over a year to do that, but you guys do. And hence you're going to teach it to us and me as well. So that system of flicking over from this domain to that domain is what's going to make this being the people's world. This is the age of man being the species. Yeah. And that's the best way that I can explain what decentralization is. Full stop.
Wow. Did everyone got that? Wow, that's a lot of things in there. But the key words and buzzwords are transparency.
Yeah,
transparency, open source. Okay.
Yeah. Can I say one thing about open source again?
Sure.
But keep what you have in mind. Otherwise, you know me, I tend to go off in all manner of directions, because I think in World Wide Web situations. I think in terms of great webs and things like that. So every subject to me makes sense, but of course that would take it out of domain.
Yep.
Look, the general public have what's known as a perceived piece of wisdom. The perceived piece of wisdom for them is that the entire world's economy under the system of computing runs on Microsoft. It doesn't. Not even 1%, not even 0.25% runs on Microsoft. But Microsoft does so well in terms of market domination that they give the people the general perception that Microsoft runs the world. But it doesn't. What runs the world and the computings that they themselves use, Google, Facebook, YouTube, and all of them, is one system called Linux. That's the system, that's the computer openware software system that runs the entire world. But the misinformation through general people's perception, through advertising, what they call advertorials, allows the corporation to successfully convince people that they run the world. The Microsoft corporations run nothing. They don't have the intelligence, and because of the open source information, they themselves will be just simply caught out on the back of their own lies. Hence, he being what he is highly adaptive and decide to take up the call of now becoming a decentralized, automated organization. So the transparency is that the world will know that all of your computers have actually been running on Linux. And on occasion, corporations have the ability to corrupt the system and then sell that to you as Windows and get you to pay for constantly fixing that.
Updates.
What they call updates.
Yep.
Okay, they're the bugs in the virus. Yep. The decentralization, and we're going to speak about, of course, the other side of the middle equation, which is the automation, is that it's going to go in, that computer program under open source is going to go in and fix all the problems.
Yeah. The smart contracts will automate it.
And that's so that's what we're going to speak about next, what the significance of automation is. And we'll come on to that later. But is there anything else you wanted to say, Hugh? Sorry that I wanted to go into that, but is there anything else you wanted to say about the decentralization? You was talking about transparency. What else?
So the transparency and the open source, I'm pretty much, I don't have any more comment or questions to ask on that.
Okay.
It's just now with the next part of the word is automation, organization. So it looks like to be an organized nodes and network of smart contracts operating under a coded system, such as Ethereum, that takes every transactions on the blockchain, and that's the transparency part of it.
Yeah.
So we can sort of talk about that and how it all relates to this Web 3.0 and this, Omicron. You mentioned Omicron, and that's actually a 2-word in there. We can talk about that later. The Omicron.
Yeah. So if you remind me on it, I'll explain it.
Yeah.
So let's go for the first thing that comes into people's minds, especially if you're a movie fan, like from the 80s, like Terminator. Movies like, my God, the computers will figure out that human beings are the virus, and it will go in and try to fix us. The computers, the artificial intelligence are going to take us over. If I was a corporation that made my living on the back of telling lies and giving you misinformation, I would produce such movies to traumatize the general public being frightened of a computer program that just simply fixes things. And hence the smart contract. So the first line of fear for the general public is, oh my God, we're going to go centralized. That means Skynet is going to be started, and the world we know is coming to an end. They're going to build machines that will crush our skulls. Human beings will go extinct. That's the first resistance, because the general public were primed, just as Microsoft primed people to think the world has to run on Windows. It doesn't. Windows is incapable of running virtually anything. Yeah, no secure network will ever use Microsoft. It's a poisonous system. It's a system that is fraud after fraud. Anyway, so the images that they have is that anything that's going to become automated is going to take their jobs away. It's going to figure out human beings are the problem, and it's going to crush us, and so on and so forth. So the first resistance that they have to overcome by just seeing the facts for the facts. What does automated mean? It just simply means something that can be replicated with 100% efficacy and efficiency a trillion times upon another trillion times, and to the power of infinity, without a loss of a single digit.
Yeah.
That's all it means to be automated. So imagine a machine punching out, fizzy drinks cans. How many mistakes does a automated machine punching out these cans make? It's something like 1 trillion can may go wrong because of a human mistake. Because of a human mistake. And because they are taking out the CEO that can operate in the private, a CEO that can manipulate the markets, a CEO that can misdirect the shareholders and the public, that can use the media to release false information, well as do the complete opposite, which is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They can use that as well, but it's not profitable. So what the computer program does, the automated element of it, it takes out the human equation. It takes out the human equation to want to make continuous amounts of mistakes because it's more profitable to lie rather than tell the truth.
Yeah.
So the code under the smart contracts is just you and I agreeing upon something, putting it down on a computer program and letting it run all over the world to check the authenticity of it, the feasibility of it, as well as, of course, the efficacy of it. Does it have any efficacy? If it doesn't, it will just flag it up as a nonsense and it will disappear as a piece of fraud. Because a computer cannot operate on fraud. Because it's a mathematical equation. So you are an accountant. I almost said an accountant, but you are an accountant. What's the possibility of me lying to you on mathematical books? It's none.
Zero.
I get caught. It's zero. You'll catch me out.
Yeah.
So
it's zero.
What it does, the automated element, the root word of this decentralized automated organization is that it takes out the intentional as well as the unintentional human mistake out of the equation. That's all it does. So when the computer program goes in, say it went into a Microsoft Corporation Windows, it will just simply fix everything that was deliberately put there to generate more money like Monsanto's Terminator seeds, which is a corruption of a seed, it will just fix it.
Yeah.
And the corporations have been frightened. They've done their best to get the general public so traumatized that they don't ever want a decentralized system. It is best to stay with a centralized system where they can be lied upon, where they can be cheated upon, used as slave, and own nothing. We've already given the proof. So that's the power of the automated side of things. It's self-correcting. Like 2 times 2 equals 3.999999999 to the infinity. Well, it's not. It has to come up 4. So let's go looking for that one digit that's disappeared. And it will go and find it and fix it. So it will read 2 times 2 equals 4.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is so frightening to a corporation that is so used to lying to people that the politicians themselves, who are public officials, which have no power, that's what an officer is. It means it has no power, will have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Failure to do so will just simply say 2 times 2 equals 3 point something, but anything but 4. You know, you and I will just simply say, hold on a minute, there's like 1/trillionth of a penny gone missing here. If 1/trillionth of 1 penny or 1 cent has gone missing, the system doesn't work, so therefore I can't invest in it. What's good of a calculator that gives you a wrong calculation?
No.
What use is it? You've got no choice but to chuck it away.
Chuck it away. Yeah.
So if a government doesn't compute under what's known as corporate governance, and you know, we can send people these documents or they can find it online. This document is like 2 years old. It's already happened. Yeah. So if they want that, we can send it to them, but you email us properly. Don't email us by saying, send us document. No, you talk to us properly. If you don't have the respect for this information, don't make any contact with us. Just forget us. Unsubscribe and leave. We don't want that kind of people anymore in our world. I want to make that very clear. So let's imagine that Boris Johnson or Joe Biden has come out and said we're going to release $1.2 trillion to the economy. Well, that's fine, but it has to run on a lightning block network with blockchain. And it will tell you where the money's gone. So they've printed out $1.2 trillion. Where did it come from? It came from a private source, which means it's non-public. Well, if you don't tell us the source, how can we list it onto the blockchain? Because you don't have a source. If there's no source, there's no money, you know.
Yeah.
And if they did give you the source, okay, and now you see it running on the blockchain network, on the Lightning Rail network, you get to see who's picking up the money.
Yeah.
And the general public is not even picking up like 2-3% of it. And they say to you, it's for the general public, but somebody else is picking it up, like a corporation.
Yeah.
You know,
I can see where this is going, Mark. I can see where this is going to.
So when Joe Biden, when Joe Biden comes out and says to you, we've released $1.2 trillion into the economy, and the American people are really happy, and the system will say, no, it's gone to the corporation, these dummy corporations. Well, we obviously can't invest in a corporate governance that doesn't give the correct calculations. That means you have lied under the penalty of perjury. And if you're using, you know, the wire transmission or the postal network, well, that's a $25 million fine, as well as a 20-year prison sentence.
Wow. Yes, that's correct.
So this is why I'm saying the implications of this is so vast that we're going to see the mass extinction of the liar. We're going to see the mass extinction of the corporate governances, which are the governances that operate corporations, not men and women, are going to become extinct and already have become extinct as the OMICRON computer virus, not virus, but the computer program is cleaning up all over the world. It's going in and fixing the problems. So if I release an OMICRON into a Windows operating system, what's it going to do? It's going to make that computer program function with 100% efficacy. And just like Monsanto, just like all of these corporations that invest in corruption, the corruption of the seed, as in Monsanto, the corruption of a computer program, as in Microsoft Corporation, the corruption of the media as a means and a kernel of lying to people, is going to become the difficulty they're going to have. It's like selling a calculator to the general public that doesn't give you calculations. Who's going to buy a calculator that can't calculate 2 times 2 equals 4? That's the predicament that these corporations have found themselves in for nearly 10 years. I should say 12 years. And as a result, the computer program Skynet, as you would understand it in fiction language, is going in and fixing the humans. The humans, not mankind, the humankind. The one that likes to use the coloring of the law, the shading of the truth.
Okay.
Trying to corrupt human beings, even in the realm of their own sexuality from childbirth, telling them, oh, you could be homosexual. Well, if I am, it's none of your goddamn business, is it? Or you could be a man when you're a girl. Well, if I am, go screw yourself, because that's you putting the corruption in me. And that's what they're doing to children in school. So when a school, which has to become on the blockchain network, which is going to become decentralized, they're going to have to find out the source. The source has to reveal as to where they are programming children to think that they have multiple sex, that they might need a sex change. Where is this information coming from? Is it coming from a corporation that is profiting from children, programming children to take up alternative identities? Because you and I know, if you tell a baby you're stupid, if it has an IQ of 160, it will do stupid things with an IQ of 160, which means it's going to be very dangerous. If it's a normal baby with average IQ, you tell it it's a genius, it will start to act as if it's a genius, but without the capacity to be genius, which means it's highly dangerous. You and I know, if you take a normal baby and love it and look after it and give it the means to flourish in this world, not survive, but flourish it, make it flourish, it will be very successful, whether it has a low IQ, high IQ, whether it has a perplexity to do dangerous things, whatever it is, it will do it in a healthy manner. That's the level of change that's going to take place. Schools at this moment are influenced by fashion companies, pharmaceutical industries that tell them what to set in the curriculum so they can generate money from those children by corrupting them. That level of corruption has become extinct. Monsanto is going to become extinct. If not, it's already extinct. The corporations are going to become extinct in terms of being centralized and the ability to lie.
Okay.
People like Julian Assange is going to become extinct because it will say, liar, liar, your ass is on fire. It won't compute. That's the beauty of what an automated system is. It's removing the coloring of the law to say red is red. And if it has a shade, let's agree upon the shade. And that's called a smart contract, which means humankind is also an extinct species. What is humankind?
Humankind.
The humankind, it means the many colors of man. What hurts me can make you wealthy. Well, why should it hurt me then if it makes you wealthy? That's called coloring. You insult my religion because you showed me the facts. You told me my God has a bank account, which they can find on my website. That's really bad to say. Well, no, look, here it is. Here's the facts. And if you don't like this, then go off, go away, you fiction, because you're not going to be able to survive. If you are in constant perpetual state of denial, you're not going to survive. And that's the power of a decentralized, automated.
Gotcha.
It goes in and fixes the problem. That's lovely.
Yeah, I think that's well said.
So that's the root word. Do you
right.
think I should say anything more about the power of what automation is, automated?
No. I think the existing conglomerates, multinational, like the likes of Amazon, Google, and those people who seem to be centralizing their system, but they have their users distributed around the world. They need to, I guess, change the way that they do things to adapt to this smart contract.
We need
And
transparency on the smart
Transparency,
contract.
yeah.
Yeah, we need transparency, and
Otherwise, we
those are
won't
your
survive.
words that you taught me. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the lack of transparency is what's going to change.
Yes.
If you hide anything from our business adventures, then it's no contract.
Yes.
Marriage is a contract. Can a husband or a wife get away with lying to each other and saying we're married? A marriage that is based upon a lie is a lie. The automated system of coding is going to say, boo, he doesn't have like 1.2 million in his bank. He hasn't got anything, but the wife does, and that's what he's after.
Right.
Because it will show up on an open network system.
So, Mark, the question I want to ask you is because this is part of the new Web 3.0, the Internet of Things. Things are more transparent and open. How does that mean for the average man or woman, commercing in their normal work? Do they have to adapt and know this framework for them to profit in the new era?
So,
Or how technical do they need to be?
yeah, I'll answer that question. We've spoke about the first word, which is the decentralization, the root word, which is the automated stuff. Automated also means authoritative. Arthur. All of these things word means authoritative. And mated just simply mated means like in nature, a man and a woman coming together to produce something that was greater without the two. That could be pleasure, that could be orgasms, or that could be like a baby. And that's what mated means. It's mated, like a ship's mate. We have come together, not to have sex, if you know what I mean, but we've come together, but to agree upon how we should do things aboard this ship to keep it safe. And that's called an organization. So, the decentralization creates the transparency. The automated side of it allows human beings to agree upon something, how to make something better or create something better, or to preserve it, or to even dismantle it. That's the organization element of it. So an organization, that is able to do that will now become a very healthy organization. And that's why this is the age of man. the age of humans, saying that 2 times 2 can sometimes equal 3.999, and the bank keeps the last digit, and if they can do that to a billion people, they've just made a lot of money.
Yep.
Does it make sense? Like they used to. So that's the power of a starfish organization. Avoid at all cost getting yourself into what they call a sweet spot. This is where they'll try to decentralize something and at the same time centralize it. That's a lie. You don't want a sweet spot with the FBI. You don't want a sweet spot with your local police station. You don't want that, because a sweet spot is sweet for them and not for you. You want total transparency as to say why you put this man or a woman under arrest.
Okay.
Because the charges will have to be on a lightning block network.
Yep.
And it will say, no, sorry, no evidence. No evidence at all.
Continuance of evidence is another term for that, isn't it?
Yeah, so the continuation of the evidence is broken, what they call chain of custody. It's like, John sold you this gun. He sold it to you as an armament. John picked it up as a weapon. In between, there's a word change. Where did that word change come from? The sweet spot that created that word change is the policeman working for the corporations, because the armament is a non-offensive weapon. It's not there to destroy, kill, or anything, but to fend for yourself.
Yep.
But when you turn it into a weapon through the mouth of a constable or a policeman who works for a corporation, you can now press charges on this man picking up a weapon. So that chain of custody will flag up. It will say, no. It was sold as an armament and received as an armament. This corrupt police station working for the corporations, which is global, corrupted that transaction. And the blockchain,
he modified it. Yeah.
He modified it. He created a coloring of the language, a coloring of the law under humankind bypassing mankind. Mankind creates armaments.
Wow.
Humankind creates weaponry. 2 distinctive species. One middleman, corrupt by its very nature, the middleman, the corrupt nature, corrupts it into another word so he can press charges for this person for being human. But it was a mankind doing to mankind. The corruption here, this analogy, will be replaced by a smart contract working on a lightning rail network called blockchain, and it doesn't equate. And the coloring of the law has taken place. So what is the penalty of coloring the law? Prison sentence. It's called perjury, lying. Modifying, and that's what they do with the languages and stuff. This analogy is so powerful that every human being on this planet should get it.
Wow.
Every human being should get it. The middleman is the corrupt. It's going to be chucked out and replaced by a automated authoritative piece of kit. You see?
Yeah.
Called a code.
Yeah.
And it's going to go armament through the blockchain smart contract, received as armament. And the proof of money has been verified. The transaction of the physical property has been verified. The automated system releases everything, and now it's transparent.
Yeah.
That's the power
Everyone's happy.
that the Titans have given you. That's the power that Kronos has given you. Thank you. That's the power that David Wayne Miller gave us. Thank you, David. I should salute him with 2 hands, I think. So,
wow.
have
So
I explained myself
yeah,
as to
I
what?
think it's enough, Mark. I think it's enough.
Thank you.
The very very deep and lots of examples. I think the audience would understand that by now. Um, do you
Remember,
wanna? Yeah,
remember this analogy. Replace it with a code where it's not going to modify things.
yeah. It's good graphic, good illustration. Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to talk about the coming January? You want to ask me about the January coming?
Oh, yes, yes. Look, I approached you and Lance to say, look, you guys know about these things. I don't. I understand the value of what it is, and I can write a book on the subject. But writing a book on a subject that I have never done is called a lie. Yeah. So I approached you to teach me how I can turn my Tricks and Traps university course into a non-fungible token, to let it run on a Lightning network where my students can benefit from it because they invested in it and I want them to benefit from it. And you're going to, and what you guys came up with is you're going to teach me, and in doing so, you're going to teach other people. Okay.
Yeah.
And the course itself, the investment that they make in the course itself is going to be tokenized, which is another word for it being monetized. You're going to teach us how to monetize that course itself, which you're going to do. And then you're going to hand out those tokens to the people that participated in that course.
Yes.
So they can sell it on as a non-fungible token and
Correct.
and make money on the back of the course that they actually participated on.
Yeah. Yeah. And more. That's
And
just one
more.
of the mechanisms. That's just not the only one, Mark. I mean, we've got it comes in there with a framework, fundamental framework, the how and the what, and also the why. Most people know why they want to get into this space. But the juicy part is that once we explain about the royalties and stuff, we're going to get like specifics in terms of the investing and the trading in NFTs. So these are very specific. So for those who love kind of specific technical stuff, they are going to be satisfied by this training course. For example, we give a guide in terms of buying NFT, for example, right? Minting NFT, that's important. Pro tips on that, what constitutes a good mint and a bad mint.
I've never thought of that actually. What would constitute a good mint and a bad mint?
Because
So,
there's pros and cons.
yeah,
There's
they're
scams too. There's scams out there. That's why.
Oh, okay, yeah, they are scams.
There's
Okay,
scams out there. So when it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it waddles like a duck, it's a
it must
duck.
be a duck.
So a lot of people get carried away in this. So it's very important that you got to be grounded. And so this is a pro tip, very very from our own experiences. As a
I thought of something. Perhaps this might be of relevance. Since understanding the nature of stupidity, which is actually a science. We actually understand it as a science now, which has been around since the 70s. What makes me very stupid in the world of the stock market is the level of scam that runs on the stock market. And what you're going to do essentially is take out that level of corruption. And by giving me this knowledge, I'm able to have the pros and cons, because if you can't qualify something, you don't have it.
Yeah, we'll give you the compass so that you know how to navigate through the risky waters. That's it, the compass. Just like that.
Give me
Timmy
1
just went
second. Give me 1 second.
Wow.
1 second, please.
Okay.
one of my staff gave me this as my birthday present. And this is a
Oh,
compass. It's a maritime compass. It's all a working instrument. They're all working instrument.
well, okay.
Without this instrument, you'll be foolhardy to go on the ocean and try to navigate the oceans. But you've got to learn how to use the stacks and the compass and the times and the maps. Without that, your very expensive yacht, it's not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the power of these tools. You know,
Yeah.
they got to understand the power of a sextant. They got to understand the power of a compass. You know, without these instruments and a fixed point in time and space like a star, you're not going to get anywhere. And these are smart contracts. The knowledge behind it is what enable you to freely, intelligently navigate in this decentralized, automated organization.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna teach you, you know, not just give you a fish. We're gonna teach you how to fish. You know, that's why that's why it's got value in here. You know, we
Thank
believe
you.
we want to give you a lot of
I've
value, Mark.
I've been to that pub. I'm sorry to go into stories, but I've been to the pub where Karl Marx wrote that particular verse, and it's framed in that pub. That's in Highgate. And on the back of it, what people don't understand as a poison narrative is that what is basically saying, if you ever teach a person or a man or a woman to fish, you've just completely destroyed a perfectly good business. And that's the model that we've been running on for so many decades, if not hundreds of years, is that the withholding and the skills information has always disabled people to be able to go fishing,
Yeah.
you know, to feed themselves. Because as he himself said, which is the actual verse, is that if you ever do this, if you ever teach a man or a woman how to fish, you've just completely destroyed a perfectly good business. In other words, a business that runs on corruption.
Yeah.
And
See,
you are going to teach us how to fish because you are transmitting healthy knowledge on how to use these instruments to move from one point to another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
We are going to be the doer of what we preach, not a hypocrite. You know.
Yeah. What else is the contents of the course?
So we're gonna give real life cases of NFT and the lucrativeness of it, and the ingenious and the geniuses of it. You know, how the market has taken this by the bullhorn and basically run with it. And so we want to make the student aware and knowledgeable about this space. So it's a bonus material, which we have invested in you know, hours and hours of just scratching around and reading things up, and you know, so we're gonna hand it to you in a plate, you know, beautifully like that. There's also the residual income, you know, framework that's going to be very lucrative. I think a lot of people will open their eyes and pluck their ears and say, I'm listening. You know, we'll show you how it all works, you know, the tweaks and all that kind of thing. And I think that's,
I think you're going to do a lot more, but it's just that we can't share it because this type of information will be given on the interview. And I want to speak about that to end this meeting, because I've got interference. My system keeps saying the internet's coming off, going off, switch it off, restart again. They always do this whenever we're giving critical information. You know, they always do that. And I don't think there is a break in transmission, but my system is saying, you know, reboot so this connection can be lost, because these are key words that's the disgusting element of centralization, is that they create such a large monopoly that they filter out whatever they want. Yeah.
True.
So anyway, I won't go into that. I want to end this into a positive note. For people to come into the course, they have to attend an interview. And they have to prove they are who they say they are on paper, as well as by face. Because we cannot generate tokens for them in order to give it to them unless we know who they are, because we're going to eliminate fraud. Yeah, and so first of all, you need to know, the world out there. You will be interviewed, and we're holding interviews every week on Sunday. You need to provide us with certain pieces of information. And when we interview you on Sunday, then we can say whether you can come on the course or not. If you don't go through that process, we don't want to know you. And that's really quite important for us, yeah. And certainly for you and Hugh and you and Lance, okay,
Yeah.
is that I myself have been caught out by stupid people that do a lot of damage, criminals, what they call bandits, exceptionally stupid bandits, that do more damage to themselves than they can possibly do to me. Because most stupid people do more damage to themselves. They can't damage me anymore. So as a result, it is an interview. We're not going to just accept anybody. We don't want fiction people. We know what we want, and therefore we know what we don't want. We want mankind to join us, not humankind. We don't want your opinions and your opinions upon opinions that don't make any sense. We don't want the coloring of the law. Oh, but you said this, you said that. I want this, I want that. No, we've made it clear what we want. If you don't want that, just don't bother contacting us. Yeah, and people got to know that, because we've completely come out of fictitious names. We've completely come out of the legal names. My students now are their own legislative body. My students, my Tricks and Traps University students, are their own judiciary now, and also their own executive. In other words, they can become their own governments, as it were, self-governing, autonomous. Yeah, that's how far the Tricks and Traps University has gone, is that they are now the legislative body, they are the executive, and they're their own judicial. Yeah, and because of this, I have no intention of sharing this type of information with fiction people. We won't have anything to do with fiction people anymore. We will deal with mankind, and we will have nothing or little to do with humankind. We are not interested in human rights, the coloring of the law, but the things that a man has is a center of gravity, teller of truth. A man or a woman that gravitates to the facts, that wants to add value to this world, as well as themselves and their family and their children. We're no longer interested in anything less. I thought I'd tell everybody that. And I don't want to end it in a somber mode.
Exciting.
So it's exciting, yeah?
Yeah.
It's exciting. Because you don't want one of your teammates to have a corrupt token or want to corrupt it.
So Mark, before we leave, if they miss this week for whatever reason, there's another one, another Sunday, same time.
That's correct.
They just got to they have to just basically put their name and just
that's it.
name.
Yeah, they need to email us. Yeah, okay. They can email me, and then I will forward it to you, and you guys will sort it out. Okay, and it's a private, confidential. All of this is private and confidential. Okay. That is that. Look, there isn't going to be thousands of people on the course. We don't want thousands. There's only going to be a certain amount of people coming in, and there's only ever going to be a certain amount of coins issued for the necessity of scarcity. So you got to know what you're doing, and you got to know that you want to be on it. If you're here for a good chat with us, bye-bye. We've given you all the necessary information for you to make this journey. We've given you all the analogies that you need. Yeah. We've spent this time putting these things together so Hugh and Lance can educate me for my benefit and for my students' benefit, as well as people that are my students, as well as people that are not. It is a investment of a lifetime is what I would put it, because the early adopters, what's the word? Early adopters?
Pioneers.
Or the pioneers, yeah. So the pioneers of these things are the people that know about it and do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we're looking for, the pioneers, so we can tokenize it.
Mm.
So if people haven't understood what tokenization is, it means you are issuing your own money. It's like we're minting gold coins, and you're going to be in possession of that gold coin. You understand?
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah.
The course that you're going to come on itself will generate that gold coin as a token. And when you graduate, your token, you get your medal, instead of a copper medal, you get a token that has value, like
Immutable.
being given a gold coin.
Yeah.
What did you call it? Immutable.
Immutable and proven by proof of work on a blockchain, computer coded, no duplication. It's like 2 + 2, you say, is 4. It can't be, pirated.
You mean I can't humanize it?
No.
Because human means the many
No.
coloring of the law. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Sorry.
you can pass it down. I'm trying to humanize it.
It can't be a slightly different color of a gold with a little bit less gold in it. Can it have more gold in it?
It's the pure thing, okay? It's a pure
24 karat, huh? Wow.
pure thing, glassy pure, glassy transparency pure. That's
Yeah.
what it is, okay? All right, nice chatting with you, Mark. Thank you very much for everyone's attention, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye-bye, folks. Look
Bye-bye.
after yourselves. Bye-bye.